It's day 11 of Putin's invasion of Ukraine, where Ukraine claims that Russian troops have captured 2 Ukrainian nuke power plants and is advancing towards a third one. Russian forces opened fire at locals protesting against Kremlin occupation in the breakaway Luhansk region. According to Ukraine, multiple people have been wounded as Russian forces opened fire at unarmed protesters. Meanwhile, the battle for the Ukrainian capital goes ballistic. A video released by Ukraine shows badly damaged buildings after a Russian airstrike in a town 85 kilometers from the capital of Kyiv. At the same time, thousands of Ukrainians have taken to the streets in Kherson to protest against the Russian invasion. Kherson was the first city to fall after Russia invaded Ukraine. Panic-stricken citizens are also fleeing the capital, Kyiv. 1 million people have fled Ukraine since the war has begun. UN officials say the speed of exodus from Ukraine could actually trigger the biggest refugee crisis this century. Meanwhile, the next round of talks between Russia and Ukraine will be held on Monday, where they are once again going to discuss ceasefire and safe passage for citizens.
Воронка.
With each passing hour, 64-kilometer-long Russian military convoy is moving towards the capital of Kyiv. India Today gets you visuals of Russian military convoy that is gradually approaching Kyiv from all directions. Several Russian tanks are advancing in an attempt to capture the capital city of Ukraine.
Tanks and trucks as far as the eye can see. This mesmerizing bird's-eye view of Russia's giant armored convoy rumbling towards Ukraine's capital has become one of the faces of this escalating conflict. But after 10 days of satellite pictures, finally a view from the ground. Images published by the Russian military show the giant convoy up close for the first time. Carefully curated images, part of a power projection exercise, amidst denials in Kyiv that this convoy has managed to encircle the crucial city.
Somebody said that it is just to distract attention of the Ukrainian armed forces to concentrate on that direction and to open another road. The second version is that Russians are trying to regroup because now they have quite a dispersed forces around Kyiv, and they are trying to regroup to accumulate the forces that they need for the big strike.
In his delusional mind, he does believe so. That wouldn't be true because even if he pretends to, take over Kyiv and claim that this is the new ruler, whatever he would be, that would not change the will of 40 million Ukrainians who are fighting against that right now. But he indeed is trying to encircle the city. Ukrainian army is fighting back. That convoy you are referring to has not been moving for the past 5 days, I think. So they are not having any way to move forward because of the Ukrainian army.
The superior strength of the Russian forces, looking to besiege Ukraine's capital, has snaked down the highway from the north for several days now. Across bitter, snow-blown wilderness, menacing war machines bearing down on a metropolis that must bend if President Putin is to impose his will on Ukraine.
These are the up-close images of the convoy, that Russian convoy that's moving towards the capital, Kyiv. In some places, it's extremely close to Kyiv. One information that we have received is indicating that a part of that convoy is virtually now on the outskirts of Kyiv. The logistics challenge that was being pointed out initially, that seems to have been overcome.
The convoy is populated with battle tanks, armored personnel carriers, and utility trucks carrying troops, rations, and weapons, perhaps for the long haul. While Kyiv city itself hasn't been damaged much in 10 days, the suburbs and outskirts have been pounded by missiles, shells and rockets for days together. The Hostomel air base to Kyiv's north has also evidently been overrun by Russian forces. With the giant convoy now looking to encircle and besiege Kyiv from 3 sides, 2 questions hover above all else. Will Ukraine's capital fall soon? And if it does, will Russia have crossed a red line that brings NATO and the West finally into this war. With Gaurav Sawant in Kyiv and Geeta Mohan in Lviv, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russia declares a ceasefire only on the eastern part of Ukraine. Mariupol and Volnovakha, the cities in the Donetsk region, are the cities where there won't be any active hostilities. Humanitarian corridor to also be established. Here is the report.
After relentless missile attacks on Ukrainian cities, attempts to capture nuclear power facilities, and the loss of countless lives, President Putin declares a limited ceasefire. A brief breather near the separatist eastern part of Ukraine, the Donetsk region. Firing, bombings were suspended in Mariupol and Volnovakha to allow civilians to leave. The ceasefire was declared from 11:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time, only to facilitate a region that has a large Russian population. The Russian Defense Ministry claims that safe passage was agreed upon, with Ukraine doing 2 rounds of talks. But the Russian move has been met with skepticism.
Well, we'll see if they keep up their words. We can't really trust the Russians in any sense. But I do hope that the families with children, particularly from Mariupol and Volnovakha, would be able to leave. They have been living without electricity, without any heat for more than a week. The conditions over there are just terrible. So I do hope that they would be safe to leave. But that's not near close to the solution to the war as we are seeing it.
Maybe this would mean that also other humanitarian corridors would be created, but for the time being, the Ukrainian side, we don't have any confirmation from the Ukrainian side.
The ceasefire in Donetsk is seen as mere eyewash because there's no such relief for the rest of Ukraine, where Russia's relentless assault continues and a humanitarian catastrophe continues to unfold. With Gaurav Sawant in Kyiv and Geeta Mohan in Lviv, Bureau Report, India Today.
And staying with Ukraine, Russia continues to unleash the fury of its hellbirds on key Ukrainian cities. Videos of 4 Russian aircraft being shot down by Ukraine surfaced, including an Mi-35 chopper and 3 Russian jets. Ukrainian air defense has also claimed to have shot down a Russian drone. Ukraine shared several visuals of taking the pilots of these hellbirds captive. All aircraft were shot down in and around the capital city of Kyiv. In a few of these videos shared by Ukrainian armed personnel can be heard interrogating the captured Russian pilots. Russia continues to bombard key cities. Videos of Sukhoi aircraft flying over the skies of Irpin, a suburb of Kyiv, have also surfaced. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky claimed that more than 10,000 Russian army troops have been killed in the war up until now. A big escalation in the Russian-Ukraine war, where Ukraine claims to have shot down a Russian Mi-35 by a Stinger missile. While this incident was caught on camera, Russian chopper explodes into a ball of fire after being shot down. In another incident, Ukraine claims to have shot down a Russian jet near the city of Chernihiv. Ukraine also claims to have captured a pilot, while the co-pilot allegedly was killed during this crash.
Perhaps the most dramatic footage in 10 days of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Cameras from a drone capturing a low-flying Russian Mi-35 attack helicopter falling prey to a Ukrainian Stinger missile. The chopper, flying at low altitude to avoid radars, to avoid eyes, meets a devastating end. The Stinger missile, supplied by NATO with infrared homing systems, hitting the helicopter with deadly accuracy. Both Germany and the United States have been pumping in large numbers of Stinger missiles to the Ukrainian military over the last few weeks, in order to challenge and shoot down Russian air power. The missile proving its worth in this video, the first of its kind released by the Ukrainian government. Reported to be on the outskirts of capital Kyiv, showing the heavily armed military helicopter of the Russian armed forces ending in a massive fireball and a plume of smoke. A rapid and fiery end to an attack helicopter crew that could well have been on an attack mission.
This Mi-35 helicopter, and when you look at these images, it's a young soldier who's actually running behind that helicopter, aims with his surface-to-air man-portable Stinger missile, fires and forgets, and it goes and hits the target. It goes and hits the attack helicopter, and the attack helicopter comes crashing down. This shows how a Stinger can easily bring down a low-flying fighter plane. It can bring down a helicopter.
As Russian troops advance into several parts of Ukraine and encircle cities, images of the Ukrainian residents have been flooding social media. This time, a Russian jet apparently being shot down in the northern city of Chernihiv. Captured on camera by local residents while they cheered as the jet was brought down. It was later reported that the Russian pilot of the jet had been captured alive, while his co-pilot didn't survive. Another Russian plane was shot down in the city of Mykolaiv. A dramatic video of the plane's pilot being interrogated by Ukrainian forces has also surfaced.
Какой части? 69-88, Откуда сам родом? Прям родился родом? Да.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claims in a televised address Ukraine has captured, wounded and killed over 10,000 Russian soldiers since the start of the invasion.
Almost 10,000 Russian soldiers killed. 10,000. This is dreadful.
There's plenty of fighting. Airstrikes are basically an everyday occurrence all over Ukraine. Again, that's why Ukraine repeats its demand to close off the sky for the Russians. Russians are using those planes to hit civilian targets, pedestrian districts. Reality is this is battle that is raging all over Ukraine, and Russia are using their air power advantage to push at the civilians like in no time since the Second World War.
President Putin, meanwhile, has blamed the United Kingdom for triggering the military conflict. Can Ukraine successfully resist the overwhelming and intensifying scale of the invading force? With Gaurav Sawant and Rajesh Pawar in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.